as I was coming out here thinking about 3 lost people in a family in 1 year.
So, John, if I was to, double down on the adoption piece and especially the predictive side of things, one hurdle that we see in the deployment of predictive tools specifically, and I don't know if you have an opinion on this, is regulation of predictive tools, right? Do you have a view on like how does the FDA look at it, or globally, like, if one is an AI solution that says you have or don't have cancer, the other is an AI solution that says there's a 90% chance that you will get cancer in the next 2 years, right? Like, from a regulatory perspective, since you are in DC, like, is there?
Yeah,
some
so
thought?
I was thinking about this. There's sort of 3 models that are driving things. There's the EU model, there's the England model, there's the India model, and there's what's going on in the US. We're all making these investments, and I think it's a function of time before the advanced predictive capability becomes the standard of practice. That's why we're all here. We all want to know. I'm guilty. I'm a American man, Canadian born but American man. I never went to the doctor. I was afraid they're going to find something, and I didn't want to know. And I figured I was young enough back then that I didn't want to know. I started going to the doctor 5 years ago, and I go every year, and I go for other screenings. I'm a mess. I got everything going on, but I want to know now. And I also think a big part of the demand for that predictive capability, where the return on the investment may not be completely visible now, is that if we're educated, that we can get that kind of predictive capability that will tell me what I'm predisposed to 2 years ahead of time. I wasn't ready when I was 40 years old, and I'm a lot older than that now. And what I feel like is this technology is going to make it so much easier for a 40-year-old or a younger person to say, I want to get in front of my health. There are things, I've had a heart issue, I've got all the spots and surgeries that go with that. I want to know now. And I got my numbers last week, and there are some certain things that I want to know now, because I'm passing on dessert this week here in India because my blood work said I should pass on dessert. So I think the predictive offering, the more normalized these AI models are and they become normalized in our everyday life, it will sell itself, if that makes sense.
I think on a lighter note, having to pass dessert in India is
Torture.
no, if you can do it, then you deserve to. You deserve good health. So, so just Kritika, you are both a builder and a user of these technologies, and one of the few in the world. Is it real? Like, do you see the impact of AI in your practice today, or and especially if you could touch on your thoughts on the prediction side of things, but we'll get to that. But do you feel the impact in your practice? Like, have the number of patients you cater to increase, number of diagnoses you made increase, or one of those metrics? Do you actually see it?
I think what's amazing about AI is how much we both overestimate it and underestimate it. I mean, there is that problem with estimation on both sides. And I think when we talk about thank you, John, for like sharing some things which were extremely personal. So I think what you did with that is also brought in a real human component to it. So I think it really helps us sort of absorb how it's going to be when it actually touches a human life. And from that perspective, when I say underestimated, I work on breast cancer, and that's my primary area of work. And we've been trying to look at development of exactly, some form of screening for breast cancer. You spoke about how you had to delay the screening by a couple of years. We don't do screening because it's impossible to do screening in India. And yet, breast is one of the most common cancers in India. So how do you deal with a problem like that? And we've been working on trying to see if we can triage patients. And yet, it gives me goosebumps to think that my model is going to be used in the absence of a radiologist. So I'm okay when it goes to clinical trial, but suddenly when I'm applying for licenses, I don't want to do that. I'm not sure I'm confident to do that. This is a model that I have built. So I've been through all the processes of building it. I know how it's working. I've tested it. And yet there is that fear somewhere. So that's where we are underestimating what we can do with it, because imagine what it can do at a population scale. Forget about what it can do at an individual scale. That's what we fear most often. We say, what if it misses cancer here? But then, you multiply that by the number of patients you can possibly catch, and I think you'll see the effect really multiplying. But why I say we also overestimate it is going towards the prediction, right? Like, you do have a lot of papers which talk about how you can suddenly start seeing the cancer 2 years before it happened. But most of them don't really cover what if, how many of those do not turn out to be cancer, right? So how many false biopsies are you also putting into the system? How many patients are you putting through the whole anxiety of possibly harboring a cancer? So I'm going to talk about it also, so not just as a data scientist, which is where I want it to be I don't want it to be underestimated, but as a clinician where I'm scared of the misses, but also as a patient, right? Because if I'm told I have a 60% risk of harboring cancer, I'll probably get heart disease in the next year, right? So just out of anxiety. So how do you balance out these things? I think so. It's a very necessary thing. There's no running away from AI. It's here to change everything and everything that we know about practice. But we need to all sit together and draw out the guardrails to ensure that it's deployed in a safe environment, and that's where we'll see value.
So, Kritika, if I was to kind of, put you on the spot and say that, if you had a magic wand and you could build that, rule, so that states that this is what we do with the 60% probability of cancer kind of output, what would you do?
Yeah, I think that's a very difficult question, but see, I think where it helps, I'll change that a little bit into where is it that we can actually harness it. For example, and I think public health is a very good example of where we can harness it. So if I am able to say that I'm 90% sure that this patient does not have a cancer, then suddenly I'm going to increase the probability of being able to screen more people than I ever can. So I'd sort of rather focus on the negative than the positive in terms of being able to triage out patients rather than triage in patients into the system. That's where the value lies.
So I guess like a key takeaway could be like from that on the percentage. So this is the threshold problem, right? That most AI solutions face is that where do you draw the line, right? What is positive, what is negative? So we kind of push for this thought that maybe you create a I don't know category, like above 80 is positive, below 20 is negative, and 20 to 80 is I don't know, do whatever you would have done without the AI.
Yeah, the whole uncertainty estimation and then trying to sort of push it in that direction.
Correct. No, awesome. We can, I can keep grilling Kritika on this all day long. Slight background, I've known her more than 25 years. So
we went to school together.
So no, but on that conversation, I'll switch over to you, Apurva. As an investor, what do you hear, right? When you listen to GE talk about the immense potential of AI, and then you listen to a clinician, right, talk about again the ups and the downs, and no kind of consistent narrative, right, that says that you do these 1, 2, 3, 4 steps and you get to AI monetization. How do you look at it as an investor, right? You guys, I think, are trained to do high risk, high reward, and that math, but would love to hear your perspective.
Sure. At one point you're talking about people who are changing the world, and then you talk to people like me who are talking about IRR. Makes us look very small. But, I think we have some role to play in the ecosystem.
Look small with large IRRs.
Well, LPs like to believe so. But, we started investing in health vintage 2016, 2017, where we did 19 odd health tech investments. There was no AI there. And I would say that was a good vintage to invest in health because it was not sexy at all. When we started doing that, we made various investments, and luckily they've done well. Then we stopped investing much because we did not find a right to win for a lot of the entrepreneurs who were coming and what they were doing. Even if you look, then there was the COVID madness, which I think has to be ignored. even last 2 years, right, 23, 24, each year, US saw about 10 billion of investment in healthcare, in health tech, each year. Last year, which is 25, that went up to 15 billion. So that's a 50% increase, and 60% of that was AI related. So there's genuinely a belief in the healthcare investment community that AI could be one of the right to wins for these new companies coming up. If we look at the companies in the West, a lot of it is focused around cost optimization. So, the fancy word is ambient clinical intelligence, which is basically transcription and B2B workflows. And there's a lot of money to be made there, a lot of money to be saved there. Diagnostics, of course, is a favorite, and you would know more, and the rest of the panel can talk more about that. But that continues to attract money. There is drug discovery, which is great sound bites, but they are not seeing too much investment yet. So that's a theme which is yet playing out, and we'll see where that goes. But those are the themes which are playing out in the West. India, on the other hand, has been a market which focuses on distribution and reach, which is where value is unlocked. If you see the models in the West, they are the large LLM models sitting on cloud and requiring large infrastructure investments. But when we look at some of the companies which are now coming out of India, they're creating SLMs, which is small language models, very specific, very deliberate. They are not requiring too much memory. They're not requiring too much storage. They're not requiring too much electricity to run, which is a great opportunity for point-of-care devices, which is where we see there's going to be a huge opportunity. And a lot of the entrepreneurs are not talking about how they're going to disrupt the West. They're talking about the global South. So they're talking about the emerging markets. How are we going to make a dent in the big emerging markets? Today, 80 to 90% of the costs of the hospitals there is really importing products from the West, which are expensive capex. Here now we're talking about very lean devices, maybe not $1 million imaging devices, but say $50,000 to $100,000 devices, very cheap with AI imaging enhanced capabilities, so that it can take care of 80% of the problems that exist. So that is a big opportunity for me, and those are the themes which are playing out.
So Purva, if I was to just double click on the whole India, like build in India for either India or the global South, do you truly see there being a $1 billion revenue company, healthcare AI company focused on, say, South Asia, Africa, maybe Southeast Asia, etc.? Like, do you think that is truly possible?
It depends on the substreams, right? So if you think about it, if it's purely data analytics, it's very difficult. It is going to be ROI accretive. It's going to be EBITDA positive. But would the revenue throughput be there? I don't know. But the minute you start talking about devices, I think the scale and the unit economics there could make sense. Also, we also think about the disruption and how fast these companies can make an impact. So hitting that $1 billion revenue mark is I think we're more in the range of the 100 million revenue mark. And if that kind of plays out in the TAM, the total addressable market, then that's of interest. Because then those companies can go on to either IPO or get a strategic sale.
Got it. No, thanks for that. I think we'll come to you, Adarsh. So, Adarsh, your background is, and correct me if I'm wrong, but essentially you build analytics tools at Roche for use by Roche, by others as well. What are you able to do today using AI that you could not do 5 years ago?
There are lots of things which we can do now. Sorry. So 5 years ago, if I talk about where we were, it was mostly retrospective analytics. Everything is reactive. And then the models are pretty siloed and static. But with the in last 5 years, and then I have to count last 2 years with the advent of generative AI. That is a different ball game. But if you don't talk about generative AI for a minute, there are so many things now which we can do, not because of this exponential expansion of the technologies, but also from the maturity which also comes from the data aspect. In healthcare, the maturity is much more better in terms of data interoperability, and then that fueled lots of things 3 years ago when we started looking at how we can improve and optimize not only the diagnosis, but things which comes before and after the diagnosis.
So if I could just hold that thought, you mentioned that data, the interoperability is good in healthcare, whereas improving. Yes. So whereas we is that also because like you are inside Roche, and you make all these amazing machines, and they talk amazingly well to each other, and maybe it's the
it's a part of a story, but if you really want to create a end-to-end system awareness when it comes to diagnostics, you cannot only rely on the data which is coming out of the machines. You need to have end-to-end data coming out from the patient history, patient journey, the data coming out from EHR systems and EMR systems, and then you should be able to connect that to get a very rich data points for a patient. So it's not only, yes, it helps if you are working with a company which have these instruments, you can actually influence how to make the data fair. But it's not only that, it's about the whole ecosystem of the data, and the idea that yes, there are things which we can do with this data which are really valuable. Can we just take the data coming out from the instruments and look at the patient demography and figure out something interesting? Right. Earlier,
do you also think, Adarsh, sorry I'm cutting you, but just I like going off script. Do you also think that with the advent of LLMs and all of the power that they have, we don't really need very good data anymore to draw insights, or would it still would you still want like the type of data that maybe a deep learning model or one of those traditional models required?
Very interesting question, but from where I look at the data which we need it serves very completely different use case and purpose than what Gen AI and an LLM can do. So it's good in the summarization of the patient summary. It's good in creating a bullet points out of 30 pages long, and it is good to be taken by a radiologist and a doctor to look at the cases which it prioritized. But when you talk about non-LLM AI, we still are at a very nascent stage where we actually figure out the real value which this data holds. So it's kind of a two different stream.
Could you give examples, maybe or an example of a non-LLM based model?
If I have to give a non-LLM and then not talking about the proprietary AI solution.
This is not being broadcast on YouTube all over the world.
Okay, but I'll give you something. If we talk about errors which are happening in a diagnostic machine, right? If we want to detect an issue automatically before it happens, or the sample starts from patient and ends up in a diagnostic lab, can we make sure that we track the sample across the path and then figure out if there's a problem with the sample, the temperature are not maintained and the morbidity is going well, or it's insufficient sample, and then can we reduce the wastage which is happening at the diagnostics end, and can we optimize the supply chain? Can we reach out to the customers before the issue happens so that the continuity and the optimization remains there? These are all non-AI, non-LLM use cases which still needs very extensive data, very high quality data to actually make a difference in a health ecosystem.
Or thank you, very, very beautifully put. Like these are, you can't, I don't think at least you can feed like days upon days of time series data into an LLM and then expect it to give out. Maybe you can, I don't know. But I'll maybe jump back to you, John, and let's do some examples, right? The next bit, let's talk about some examples of AI. So John, from your standpoint at GE, what are some of the initiatives that GE is running, either commercially or through the foundation, that use AI or that are driving the adoption of AI?
Let me speak to the foundation part of it first. I helped set up the GE Healthcare Foundation, and we, those of you who remember when GE Healthcare was part of Big GE, we, by necessity and by pride, we felt like we were the most compliant company in the world because we were really, we were so big, we were the most scrutinized company in the world. So as we spun off and we're now this sort of freestanding, as we like to joke, we're a 125-year-old startup, kind of kicked out of the nest and on our own, and we're loving it. It's great. But at the same time, I looked around and I was like, gosh, all these other med tech companies have foundations, and we don't have one. We never really thought about it. So I went to our CEO. I said, hey, we need a foundation. It's just standard operating procedure that a healthcare company would have a foundation. And then we had to be compliant, which means we did not create a foundation that pushes our products. It has to be very separate, a bright line between the foundation and the business model. And so we focus on maternal health and training, so staffing and things like that. There can be some adjacency, certainly, but it's not like a business model for us. It's a do good in the world model and trying to make a change in an area that matters. We are doing metrics right now to make sure that we can see if our foundation's having an impact. We're just 2.5 years into it, so we have a long way to go. So I don't have a lot to say about AI with regard to the foundation because we're still new. I'm trying to drive a process where we measure it, and AI will come into it, probably not through our products, but more of our workflow. On the business side, I was thinking as I was listening to the speakers here, and you and I, you helped trigger this thought when we were talking before. For years, GE has had a great business model when it comes to mergers and acquisitions, business development, right? If you look at the core of our acquisition strategy, and we're growing in the healthcare space, we're capable now of making more acquisitions than we used to. The DNA of all of these acquisitions is a adjacent contribution to the power of our technology. So the MIMS acquisition, the BK Medical up in Norway, Denmark. These are the new mindset that we're thinking is we've got the generator, we've got the engine. As I said before, we don't compete anymore on slices and power. We compete on software. And so everything that we've done in the last couple of years especially, at the core of the acquisition is a strong capability to improve our technology with the benefits of AI. And I don't think we're alone in that. Obviously, I think all med tech companies, like, you want to be able to do your due diligence and sift out who's not strong in that space, and then you go in and you make your acquisition or your business development. So I think our business model on the side of a company that's now in a position to make acquisitions, everything about it at its core is AI.
Nice, interesting. No, it'll be fun to see 2.5 years from today, where the foundation has reached. Kritik, please.
I think it was a term you used, the small language model. That can be attractive to companies that are in a niche space, right? So if you want to go tackle cardiology or you want to tackle oncology or within oncology, is it a breast cancer pursuit? The small language models can have a lot of traction with companies that are our size because they're so complementary to the patient outcome. And that drives the business model.
And I think, like, on small language models, contrary to how the world is going, a lot of our customers, healthcare providers across the world, still like things being on-prem. right? A lot of regulators still are very shaky about, data leaving their countries, and, there's this whole theme around data sovereignty. So small language models make that also easily doable, right? You could run it on a computer this big.
Not
So-
just regional though, but
Yeah.
but disease state.
Yeah.
I mean, it really, and within the
Yeah.
disease state, in oncology you have
Yeah.
hundreds, and
Yeah.
you can really make an acquisition to hone in on
Uh-huh.
liver cancer or breast cancer or any sort of sub disease state within that broader category.
Oh, awesome. Nice. So, Kritika, would love to hear examples of your work, and also maybe a little, insight into what you're doing at AIMS. I think it's one of the country's largest AI centers of excellence that you're starting. So, yeah, I would love to hear about that.
So, I'll divide that into sort of what's already in deployment, then what we're building out, and then what we hope to do in future. So most of what we've sort of already built out and is in deployment currently, mostly at clinical trial stage, has been image-based AI. So a lot of breast cancer work, where the aim again, so it's entirely directed towards the public health of the country. So we're asking questions like, can we just triage mammograms? So can technologist plus AI actually say that this is normal, does not need to be looked at by a radiologist? This is something that's in multi-center clinical trial stage at the moment. We're doing this for chest X-ray, where again, so this is a commercial AI model which just says all this is normal, and so the preliminary read is done entirely by AI. And then we're doing this for diabetic retinopathy, where this is a model which already has trial license, CDESCO trial license, largely for community screening, and this has been built out on low-cost cameras, the handheld types, because this had to be done because the world uses the tabletop, very high-resolution cameras, which that AI just simply doesn't work in the community. So we had to build out AI for all of that.
So quick thing on that, Kritika, you mentioned, so as AIMS, you built an AI algorithm for diabetic retinopathy, but you still took it to the CDSCO for approval.
So all of it goes to CDESCO for approval. So unless, till the time it's in clinical trial phase and you're just offering it as a research tool, it doesn't need a clearance. But if you have to offer it as a tool for clinical use, it needs CDESCO approval. So in fact, this was built with the Ministry of Health. So it's the Ministry of Health through Vadhvani AI that built it with AIMS. It still needs to go through all the layers of clinical approval. So
wow, that's very impressive. So you mentioned there's mammo, there's X-ray, there's diabetic retinopathy,
and it's as tough for us. The mammo clinical trial license got shot down because there's no predicate device. So I had to go back for an MD22 license. So it doesn't make it any easier to build it in government. It's just as complex for all of us. The ones which
I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing.
No, I think I think that's true for regulation in general, right? You want the regulation to be strong, so but as somebody who builds it out, it is a pain. But I think it helps to know that pain is happening for a reason. So I suppose it's a good thing.
Incredible. We'll just pause for half a second. Mr. G. Veerapandian, if you could please join us on stage. No problem. So I've had a flight delay, but thank you for making it, sir. It's amazing. We'll maybe do a few questions between us, and then we'll end with your remarks. Yes, so Kritika, so yeah, again, so mammo, chest X-ray, diabetic retinopathy, what else?
So these are all the image-based sort of tools, and I think image-based tools, we've reached a certain sort of level of confidence, and I think the major takeaway from those have been sort of deployment-focused sort of tools, which just help with our workflow. I think that's what helps with the adoption the most. The second lot of tools that we've been sort of focusing on building out, again, is workflow-focused, where, if anybody's been to an average AIMS OPD, you know how many patients there are, right? You're seeing like 200 patients in the 2 hours that you have allocated for OPD. So what is it that we can do to ease this out? Can we do a patient summarization outside so that the doctor already has a summary inside? Can we sort of ease out some of the investigations? So can we do a cough analysis so that again you have a preliminary report of the cough before you meet the doctor? Can we do some CDSS that runs in the background so that it assists the doctors in training to kind of go through issues like respiratory diseases, diabetes and hypertension, etc. So those have been the areas of focus in terms of what is coming out. A lot of focus on SLMs again, also because of how conservative it is on the energy, right? So I mean, it's partially about the data security, which also is very important, but also that you don't want to deploy these huge GPUs. You can't afford to do that everywhere. You can't use that much energy. So that's been a bit of the focus. But I think the, I would say very exciting area is also discovery of new things like you were mentioning, which is, for example, in breast cancer, we've been trying to ask, we know that there is a rural-urban divide. We know that India's had protective factors against breast cancer. Traditionally, we've had very low incidence of breast cancer, and suddenly that's changing. So can we actually find out what's changing? So we went ahead and we asked people about 80 questions each. Some were totally anecdotal questions, like, are you veg or non-veg? Do you use deodorant? And then some of them were known risk factors, like do you have a family history of breast cancer? And we came out with these really detailed sort of questionnaires, and we're trying to see if that can actually give us insight into what is causing breast cancer. Although that's, of course, that's a very big question to ask, and I don't know if we'll ever get to answering that. But can we at least identify risk factors so that, some of them may be modifiable, and then can we identify who is at high risk so that we can selectively offer screening to that population? So to the question you asked on, can we just use LLMs for it? LLMs are also trained on some data, right? So unless you actually give them detailed data like this, I think what you'll get is garbage at the end of it. So that's basically what we're doing. But Vidur, I think I should put you on the spot, and I know you have sort of an experience with using so many different AI models. Maybe you can answer that question before you move on.
No, sure. So happy to. Thank you. So we deploy AI across the world, developing countries, developed countries. So, we have the privilege of working with some of the world's largest radiology providers. And there are, 6 use cases that stand out, at least in our work. The first is stroke. So in any hospital, stroke care generally becomes a very important part of the ER workflow. So patient comes in, suspected stroke, gets a CT scan done. The CT scan comes to us. We run, an AI model on it, and then if there is stroke, the neuro team is alerted, the radiology team is alerted. Like, folks are alerted, and basically says that read this scan first, because door to needle time is what is most paramount for stroke care. That is one use case. Going lower. Chest CT scans. So a lot of the world, unfortunately not India, but a lot of the world now has lung cancer screening programs where, CT is used to screen for nodules in the chest. That is being done by AI. So it makes negative rule out much faster. So if a radiologist goes through like 500 images and concludes there is no cancer, if you have an AI looking over you also saying that there is no cancer, the likelihood that something is missed is very low, and you go faster. And the converse, right? You miss lesser because the AI will tell you, hey, look here, look here. Of course, has to be balanced out, but that's the other. Chest X-ray and mammos are amongst the world's most widely used. In fact, India has possibly one of the most advanced AI-based tuberculosis screening programs on the planet. Just through our platform, around 5,000, they're not even patients, right? Citizens are screened for TB every day using AI, no human in the loop, nothing, right? There's an X-ray that is done, and AI advises the tech that should they take a sputum sample or not. Then mammo, again, we are used by the government of Singapore, right? All Singapore citizens get AI-based mammo screening done. US is very interesting. Ladies are paying for their own AI to be used by the radiologist. It's $40, $50. It's literally marketed as the cost of a week's worth of Starbucks. right? So they say 1 week worth of Starbucks can get you a better outcome on your mammogram. Going lower, cardiac disease, very advanced calcium scoring on a regular CT scan can be done. Spine MRIs are being automatically reported. So in our world, we look at it as body part modality pathology, right? So for every body part, for CT, MRI, ultrasound, X-ray, PET CT, and for every disease state, there could be an AI solution, and that's kind of our ecosystem, our world. Very different stages of adoption, very difficult to implement. Like our biggest hurdle, honestly, is security, IT security. Nobody wants to lose their job because they decided to, deploy some fancy AI in their hospital, and that led to whatever, God forbid, some kind of ransomware attack or something. But yeah, we have that the privilege of working with some of these awesome organizations. My shameless self-promotion aside, Apurva, you also run healthcare organizations, right? You have single specialty clinics in the Mumbai region. Are patients asking for AI? And I'm assuming you cater to varied socioeconomic strata. So can you share some insights there? Like, what is the patient perspective?
I think any doctor out there knows that a patient has already triaged their illness, the solution, the 3-year pathway, just by using Google, right? And our doctors have to spend a lot of time making them unlearn what they have learned and are very sure of. ChatGPT arguably is a little better because it at least reads your diagnostics reports. So patients are using AI. Whether we like it or not, they don't care about what is the privacy of the whole thing, whether the large models are using their data or not. I mean, they should, but they are not yet doing it. So I think the adoption on the patient side is much higher than it is on the provider side right now. When we talk about the doctors, they are very interested in, there's a difference. The younger doctors are very interested in using it. They say, I have to do less of the admin crap, right? So they're very happy using it. The elder, the more senior doctors are asking questions about liability. What if I lose, what if I follow the advice and it is not right? What do I do there? Very valid questions to ask. But on the whole, do I see it as a binary solution? Listen, we do IVF cycles, right? We have people who have been married for 10 years. They don't have a child yet. They have just enough money to do one more IVF cycle. They've pawned off some of their house jewelry to do that. When they are taking that decision, they look into the eyes of the doctor that they trust and they ask, will this work? Will I be okay? Will my wife be okay? Will my child be okay? I don't think we've reached a stage where they can trust ChatGPT to do that. So I don't think it's a binary future. I think it's a hybrid future. I think it's a future where we have to believe that AI recommends, but the doctor assures. And I think that's the direction it might go.
So, Apurva, I have a bit of a different, take on it, and I'm not sure if people have observed this in your organizations, but I certainly see it in mine, where completely unrelated, right? What you're talking is very high implication, last IVF cycle, no money left, etc. But there is this trend happening that, why are you saying that, this is whatever, 50 ml filled with water? ChatGPT told me. So there is this interesting trend of while on one side we know that ChatGPT cannot take responsibility, liability, accountability, all those things. On the other hand, it's also becoming a way to offload some accountability. I don't know if you're, but from a patient's perspective, again, that because the doctor can't turn around and say that, it's ChatGPT said it, that's why I've given you this medicine, right? So I don't know, maybe this is just a random rant. Yeah, good.
So you're right in saying, and then probably Kritika will know better. So what I see is if there's an AI solution which predicts flu, nobody gives a damn. But if there's an AI system which is recommending whether you should go for a chemotherapy or a surgery for a for a stage 3 cancer, then everybody is suddenly concerned about their data, their privacy, their diagnosis, their everything. It's a change in a mindset. And then I agree with you. I saw this trend where lots of people have this in mind that if I start using an AI, I will have a plausible deniability at one point of time saying that, oh yeah, I did it, but yeah, I took recommendation from an AI system, so it's not only my fault. Okay, and it's a mindset. It's a mindset, but because the way complexity has been increasing in AI solutions, they are becoming a black box with deep neural networks and all those. Now LLM is also one of them. LMM is also, I think we need a change in the mindset when it comes to how we are using it, how we are being used, and then how we are perceiving the system, the whole system, not only the doctor or the radiologist, but the whole system where AI is integrated at every milestone.
Oh, absolutely. So,
Just on the plausible deniability perspective, right? I think we as a country, as a human race, will have to figure that out. Forget healthcare, right? Talk about autonomous cars. One has to realize, how will that happen? If an autonomous car knocks over a person, is Google responsible because it's Waymo? How does it work? I think there will be a larger framework which we come upon, which will be adapted for various sectors. As of now, I think human in the loop is a given, and therefore, unfortunately, there's someone whose noose is in the neck. But so I think we'll have to figure that out.
I think maybe it's a good thing. But with that, I would like to invite Shri G. Varapandian, Commissioner, Health and Family Welfare Department and Mission Director at the NHM, the Government of Andhra Pradesh. Sir, would love to hear your thoughts. And then at the end, if we have time, questions, we can do a question answer with the audience.
Good afternoon to all. Sorry for being late. This session on diagnosing the future with AI-enabled system is talk of the globe, not just talk of our country alone. So as a public health administrator, I am seeing from implementation point of view. Shall I go for my presentation? Yes, of course. Oh? Yes. Then it would be better. Yeah.
In case you would like to stand, you can see the presentation,
okay.
or this is fine. However you would like to.
No problem. Yeah. Actually, I prepared a presentation, a very short, brief presentation about how we are ready from public health institution point of view. So that is the focus of today's presentation. So what we mean AI-ready system in government setup or in health sector. We have experts from health sector, and they are dealing with different diseases, specialties, different domain of health sector. But what do we mean by AI-ready health system? AI-ready health system from government point of view, because government deals with the most majority of the population of the country. So as a responsible organization to ensure healthy state of the citizens, how fully equipped our institutions, how organized our data, our program, our information. So we have a lot of problems. We have a lot of challenges. We are facing these issues day in and day out. And if you look at the system, what we implement across different levels of healthcare services, whether it is at primary or secondary or tertiary, we doesn't have the seamless data flow. We say it is interoperability, but we don't have interoperability across all levels. Even within the same level, even within primary healthcare, we don't have interoperability between women health and child health, or between within a particular section, say non-communicable diseases. Even between within the cancer, we don't have data flow between cervical cancer and breast cancer, though we are dealing with same gender, but we do not have organized and centralized data which talks about women's health from cancer perspective. So that is a problem we are facing. That is how our system existing. Then finally, we do not have standards which govern the whole system, how it should be run, how it should be used, how it should be implemented. So there is no proper standardization, though we have standards recently brought out by ABDM, thanks to Government of India. They brought some sense to the whole data ecosystem in government institution, but still we have not reached its matured level. Then finally, whatever you do, whatever technology you talk about, whatever system you discuss, finally the person who is handling need to be thoroughly aware of what he is doing or what she is doing. That is what our colleagues are discussing, the co-panelists are discussing, that how we make our workforce skilled, those who are aware of AI, whether the AI gives the right recommendation or it is guiding in the right direction. So everything finally has to be decided and judged by the person who is handling it. So the trained health workforce in the system is not fully ready, in my opinion. Next. So what I feel that if we are not ready, where are we? Where are we standing? So we are having lot of problems across different layers, but how we need to overcome these challenges, finally how we need to make the system AI ready. So that is our concern. Every day we are talking about how we make our people ready for adopting AI. That is why I think the whole summit is being organized to learn, and we need to, after learning, we need to find a way to adapt to the system, how to align with our priorities, how to align with our goals. So that is a major concern. So in our point of view, from say, I am representing government of Andhra Pradesh. It's one of the province of the country. So when I take a decision as a mission director of a national health mission in my state, or as a commissioner who is responsible for execution of different health programs or family welfare programs in my state, so I need to look at my system. See, if you look at the journey of the whole government sector across different departments, I am just taking health department as an example, but if you look at our journey, we used to face a lot of problem with the manual records. So whatever we collect, whatever we enter, whatever we use, everything is manually recorded. Then we thought computerization is the big solution. Computerization is going to resolve all these issues because we are not able to collect the data after collection. We are not able to analyze the data after collation. So we have lot of problems. So we thought computerization or digitization is the big solution. We brought digitization, we computerized everything, and now we are making everything entered online. We are not using manual system as we do in the past. But have we resolved all our issues? Have we found a solution? Have we got a big relief out of whatever challenges we have gone through, whatever issues we have experienced? No. It added another big issue. It became a big burden. So it is called a digital burden. So now we are using all these technical terminologies, that digital burden paradox. So it is not resolved what we want to resolve, what we want to achieve. We are not able to reach that level. Instead, contradictorily, we moved in opposite direction. So we are struggling to resolve these digitization issues. Everybody is crying. If you go to my ASHA, if you go to my medical officer sitting in PHC, if you go to A&M in village, everybody complains to you when you visit that we are entering too much of data. Always we are looking at only mobile application. Always we are looking at the portal. All our performance is being assessed based on whatever data we do. So what finally it is giving the government? Finally, people just enter the data. They are not entering the reality. They are just entering just to make their performance greener in the dashboard. So the digitization did not bring a solution to the system. Instead, it made another big problem. But at the same time, we should not be pessimistic. We should not criticize what we have done in the past. Digitization is not just a reason for our struggle. So now, what I feel as a public health administrator, having experience of handling different departments in a different capacity, from my sub-collector time to district collector or to the present position of commissioner. So what I felt, digitization has laid the foundation to make use of the great opportunity coming before us in the name of AI. So the AI is going to be a greater tool, effective tool to gain whatever we have lost in the process of digitization, whatever problems we faced in the name of computerization. So I am looking forward, I am looking confident that now I can make my digitized data, whatever data I stored, whatever data I've collected, whatever data I made my people to enter. Now I can analyze. All this big data can be easily analyzed using AI tools, using AI algorithms. So I'm not seeing AI as another software application, or it is not another software tool or digital tool to deal with my available data. So what I learned from different experts, people sitting next to me, I've learned a lot from all the experts around the world. We continuously learning, continuously reading a lot of new papers. We are continuously interacting with a lot of experts and learning a lot of things. So finally, what I could understand is that AI is a great opportunity. It has to be added in every layer of our program implementation. It should be added as a fabric of the whole implementation canvas we are using for whatever outcomes we intend to achieve. So AI has to be used in an effective way, not like a mobile application or engaging some IT agency to do this application with AI feature. Actually, I have done all those mistakes initially. When everybody was talking about AI, I want to do something AI to my department. So what I did, I just got some IT agency, created some AI doctor, and just the AI doctor, what it did, it just guided the person who approaches my office or open my portal to identify the right facility, which facility they can reach nearby, wherever they are standing, wherever they are sitting. Or it will tell to which specialty they should go if they have some illness. So, okay, so it is at a nascent stage. We can give that kind of solution to the people who are facing problem at that point of time. But now AI is maturing. So when it gets matured, so I should also ensure that its maturity goes into the system. Finally, it is bringing a greater benefit to the people, because finally, what as an administrator I want, it is not, I am, in my personal view, that I am not creating a smarter tool using AI. Finally, I want the healthy people to feel that they are completely benefited out of the whole ecosystem. So that is how we are approaching AI in our state. Already we made certain attempts. We already conducted one MedTech hackathon, in which I should appreciate the proactive, vibrant participation of a lot of startups and industries. We got around 192 applications for my MedTech hackathon. Finally, we could select 20 use cases. Now it is in the stage of implementation. We gave physical sandboxes, we gave digital sandboxes for different finalized use cases, and it is just started last week. So we hope we get good outcomes out of these pilots. At the government level, we are also thinking very big in terms of a program called Sanjeevani, in terms of creating digital health profile for each citizen in our state. You know about our Honorable Chief Minister, Shri Chandrababu Naidu Garu. Yesterday only Mr. Bill Gates visited our state, and we had very good interaction with his team. And we are thinking big, and we are aiming bigger things to happen in our system, especially in health sector. So I welcome all of you to partner with our state. Already we partnered with a lot of collaborators, a lot of developmental partners. So I make this appeal to all of you who are present here. You are welcome to the state, and you are feel free to present your solutions, whatever ideas you have. You please come to us, present to us. So depending upon the level of your system, we have our own evaluation system. We have our own committees of experts brought from different walks of life, from IIT, IIMs, IISc, from Gates Foundation, from WHO, from UNDP, from AIMS. So we have a very good team of experts to assess whatever you present. I think, as I said at the beginning, finally we want to create a healthy society. So I welcome everybody's partnership in achieving bigger goal. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. That was really insightful, especially bringing on the ground realities for all the audience. I would request Dr. Vidur to give just 30-second remark as the concluding remarks for the session, since we are at loss of time now.
No, I think thank you everybody for making it so engaging. Thank you to the audience for sticking around. People are standing and all. Yeah, it's very humbling. Thank you, sir, for acknowledging. Yeah, like the humility again flows through. Like, you acknowledge that you tried to make the app and all that. So I think this conference is testament to India's place in this whole thing. Like, I was walking through whoever here has not been to the exhibition hall, please go, just to see, one, what Indian startups are capable of, two, what Indian big companies are capable of, and three, what the world is willing to invest in us. Right, like this, the Indian AI Summit happening for the first time ever. Google has a stall that is maybe, 30 times the size of this room, if not larger. And also, so yeah, I think, as they say in the movie, "Apna time aayega," se now it's "Apna time is here." So thank you so much, everyone. Thank you.
I think that's a great closing. Apna time is here. Thank you so much to the esteemed panelists. It was a very insightful and engaging session. I now request you all to kindly stand for a group photograph. So we close the session now with this group photo. Thank you, everyone.